I was 33 years old. That is a good age. I had a good life, a simple life but good. I had a wife, Sarah. She was the light in my world. We had a son, Leo. He was 4 years old and full of noise and running. He was my best friend. I worked hard. I came home. We ate dinner. We watched TV. It was a normal life. I did not know that day would be the last normal day I would ever have. The sun was bright that day. I remember that. I was at work. I worked in a big office building. I was just a man who did his job, nothing special. I was not a killer. I was not a bad man. The police came to my office at 3 o'clock, 2 men in dark suits. They looked like stone. They asked for me. They said they needed to ask me some questions about a car. My car. I told them, sure, what is wrong? I thought maybe I had parked in the wrong spot. I laughed a little. They did not laugh back. They took me to the station. The room was small and cold. They did not tell me what was happening for a long time. They just looked at me. Then a man came in. He put a picture on the table. It was a picture of a dead person, a woman. I did not know her. I felt sick. We found this in your car, the man said. He pushed a clear plastic bag across the table. Inside the bag were clothes, a shirt and pants. They were dark, and they were wet with blood. I looked at the bag. I looked at the picture. I looked at the man. I do not know those clothes, I said. They are not mine. I have never seen them. The man smiled a cold smile. They were in the trunk of your car, parked in the lot near the murder scene. I told them about my car. I told them I had been at work all day. I told them I had not killed anyone. I told them the truth. But the truth was a small, weak thing against the blood and the picture. I remembered parking my car that morning. I had a small problem with the lock on my trunk. It did not close right away. I had to push it hard. I thought nothing of it. Now I know that was the moment. The real killer, the man who stole my life, saw my car. He saw the trunk was not fully closed. He had the bloody clothes. He needed to hide them fast. He walked over. He lifted the trunk a little. He dropped the clothes inside. He pushed the trunk down. He walked away. He did not know my name. He did not know my life. He just needed a place to hide his sin, and he chose me. The police had a video. They showed it to me. It was a bad video, black and white. It was from a camera far away. It showed the murder. It showed a person killing the woman. The person was wearing the dark shirt and pants. The camera did not get the face, but it got the clothes that were now in a plastic bag on the table in front of me. The clothes match, the policeman said. The blood is fresh. They were in your trunk. You were seen near the area. I told them again and again. Someone set me up. Someone put those clothes there. They did not listen. They had their killer. They had their easy answer. They had me. I was put in a cell, a cold gray box. I sat there and thought about Sarah and Leo. I thought about Leo's small, warm hand in mine. I thought about his laugh. I did not cry. I was too shocked. It was like watching a movie where the main person is me, but I cannot stop the bad things from happening. The trial was a bad dream that lasted for months. I sat in a big room. Everyone looked at me. They looked at me like I was a monster. My lawyer was a good man. He tried. He tried to tell the jury that the evidence was weak. He said, the clothes were just found in the trunk. Anyone could have put them there. But the other lawyer, the one who wanted me to go to jail, was better. He pointed at the clothes. He talked about the blood. He talked about the CCTV video. The killer wore these clothes, he said. He held up the plastic bag. The police found these clothes in his car. He was the only one with the motive and the chance. The worst part was the CCTV. The police showed it again and again. The blurry figure, the dark clothes, the way the killer moved. It was not me, but the clothes were the proof. The clothes were the lie that put me away. I looked at Sarah. She sat in the front row. Her face was white. She looked at me, but her eyes were far away. She did not believe me. I could see it. The doubt was a dark cloud over her head. She was my wife. She knew me better than anyone, but the evidence was too strong. The blood was too real. My parents came too. They sat behind Sarah. They did not look at me much. They looked at the floor. They were ashamed. The stigma, the bad mark, was already on our family name. Only my brother Mark looked at me with clear eyes. He was the only one. He would nod at me. A small, strong nod that said, "I know you did not do it." That nod was the only thing that kept me from breaking right there in the courtroom. Then came the day of the verdict. The jury came back. They looked tired. They looked sad, but they did not look at me. The judge asked, "Do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?" The foreman, a small, gray-haired woman, stood up. Her voice was small, but the word was loud. "Guilty." The word hit me like a stone to the chest. I could not breathe. I wanted to scream. I wanted to stand up and tell them all they were wrong, that they were sending an innocent man to hell, but I just sat there, frozen. The judge spoke the sentence, 10 years in state prison. 10 years of my life, stolen. I looked for Sarah. She was crying, but she was not looking at me. She was looking at Leo, who was sitting next to her. Leo, my 4-year-old boy, he did not know what was happening. He just saw his mother cry. The guards took me away. I did not get to touch my son one last time. I did not get to tell Sarah I loved her. I was 33 years old. I was going to be 43 when I got out, if I got out. My life was over. The man who did this to me was free, and I was going to pay for his crime. The prison was a place of iron and concrete. It smelled like old sweat and bad food. It was loud all the time. The doors slammed like thunder. The men shouted like animals. In the first days, I was a ghost. I walked around, but I was not there. I was still back in the courtroom, still looking at Leo. I could not believe this was my life now. They gave me a number. My name was gone. I was just a number. I was put in a small cell with a man who did not talk. The bed was hard. The light was always on. The other men knew why I was there. They knew I was a killer. They did not care if I was innocent. In prison, everyone says they are innocent, so I did not say it anymore. I kept my mouth shut. I learned to watch. I learned to be quiet. The guards were worse than the inmates. They treated me like dirt. They pushed me. They shouted at me. They saw me as a piece of trash that needed to be locked away. I was innocent, but I was living the life of the worst kind of criminal. The injustice was a constant, sharp pain. I tried to hold on to my old life. I wrote letters to Sarah every day, long letters about nothing, about the weather, about a book I read. I did not tell her about the prison. I wanted her to remember the man she married. Her letters came back. They were short. They were full of worry. She talked about Leo. He was starting school. He asked about me. She did not know what to tell him. The visits were the hardest. I would sit behind the thick glass. Leo would put his small hand on the glass. I would put my hand on the glass too. We could not touch. He was growing so fast. Every time I saw him, he was taller. His voice was deeper. He was becoming a person I did not know. "When are you coming home, Dad?" he asked me once. He was 6. I did not know what to say. "Soon, son, very soon." It was a lie, a big, heavy lie. The visits became less and less. Sarah said it was too hard for Leo. She said it was too far. I knew the truth. She was tired of me. She was tired of the shame. She was tired of being the wife of a killer. The anger started small, a tiny spark. It grew with every slammed door. It grew with every cold look from a guard. It grew with every letter that did not come. It was not just anger at the police or the judge. It was a burning, white-hot hatred for the man who put those clothes in my trunk, the man who was free, the man who had my life. I stopped writing to Sarah. I stopped asking about Leo. It hurt too much. I put my old life in a box in my mind and locked it. I had to. If I kept looking at the box, I would break. And I could not break. I had to be strong. I had a job to do. I had to get out. The years went by like stones falling into a deep well. 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. I was not living. I was just waiting. I was a machine made of hate and waiting. Then came the letter. It was not from Sarah. It was from her lawyer. The letter was short and cold. It said she was divorcing me. She had met a new man, a good man, a man who could be a father to Leo, a man who was not in prison. I read the letter 3 times. My hands shook. I did not cry. I did not shout. The anger was so big it made me quiet. It was the quiet of a bomb about to go off. She was gone, my wife, the light in my world. She had taken my son with her. Leo was now 14 years old. A man. I had missed everything. His first tooth, his first day of school, his first crush, 10 years of his life. Stolen. I looked at the wall of my cell. I was 40 years old. I had nothing. No wife, no son, no home, just this cave. The only person who still came was Mark, my brother. He was a rock. He never stopped believing. He would drive for hours to see me. He would bring me books. He would talk about the outside world. When I told him about the divorce, he just held his head in his hands. "I am so sorry, brother," he said. "Do not be sorry," I told him. My voice was flat. "Be ready." "Ready for what?" "Ready for me to get out," I said. "I am not coming out to start a new life. I am coming out to finish an old one." I told him my plan. I told him I was going to find the man who did this, the real killer, the man the police could not find. Mark looked scared. "You cannot, brother. You will go back to jail." "I am already in jail, Mark," I said. "This is just a bigger cell. The only way out is through him." From that day on, my time in prison changed. The anger turned cold and sharp. It became my purpose. I started to read, not just books but law books, police reports. I learned how they catch people. I learned how they miss people. I learned about evidence. I learned about how to disappear. I learned to be quiet. I learned to watch. I learned to think like a hunter. I used the prison library like a school. I used the other inmates like teachers. I learned how to get things. I learned how to make things happen. I was turning myself into a weapon, a quiet, patient, smart weapon. I was 43 when they finally found the truth. It was a small thing, a new machine that could test old blood better. They found a tiny piece of skin under the dead woman's fingernail. It was not mine. They tested it. They found the real killer's DNA. The police came to my cell. They looked ashamed. "You are free to go," they said. "We are sorry. You are innocent." Sorry, that one word. It was supposed to fix 10 years. It was supposed to bring back my wife, my son, my life. It did not. I walked out of the prison gates. The sun was too bright. The air was too clean. I was a free man, but I was not the same man. The man who went in was a husband and a father. The man who came out was a ghost, a broken, angry, unhappy ghost. And he had only one thing left to do. He had to find the man who stole his life. He had to have his revenge. I stood outside the prison gate. I was 43 years old. I had a small bag with my few things. I wore clothes that felt too loose and too new. I was a stranger in my own world. Mark was there. He was older. His hair was gray. He ran to me and hugged me hard. He was crying. "I knew it, brother. I knew it." I hugged him back. I felt nothing. No joy, no relief, just a cold, empty space where my heart used to be. The news people were there. They shouted my name. They wanted to take my picture. They wanted to hear my story. I did not say a word. Mark pushed them away. He drove me to his house. It was a nice house, a normal house. Everything was too normal. The TV was too loud. The colors were too bright. I felt like I was still behind the glass, watching a world I could not touch. The next day, the police made a big show. They said sorry on TV. They said I was a hero for staying strong. They said they would find the real killer. It was all lies, empty words. The apology did not give me back my son's childhood. It did not give me back my wife. My parents came to see me. They cried. They said they were sorry for doubting me. I looked at them. I saw the shame in their eyes. I told them it is okay. But it was not okay. The stigma was still there. They still looked at me like a man who had been in prison. They could not see the innocent man. They could only see the broken one. Mark helped me get a small apartment. He gave me money. He wanted me to start over. You are free, brother. You can do anything. But I knew what I had to do. I saw Leo. Mark set it up. Leo was 14, he was tall, he had his mother's eyes, he did not look like me. He looked at me like I was a stranger. This is your father, Leo, Mark said. Leo just nodded, hi. I wanted to hug him, I wanted to tell him everything, but the words were stuck. I was a ghost to him. The man he knew as his father was the man his mother married, not me. I asked about Sarah. Mark told me she was happy. She was married to a man named David. They had a good life, a normal life, the life that should have been mine. I left Mark's house that day and went to my small, empty apartment. I sat in the dark. I was broken. I was angry. I was unhappy. But the cold purpose was still there. It was the only thing that kept me alive. I had lost 10 years. Now someone else had to lose something too. The police were looking for the real killer. They were slow. They were stupid. They were looking in the wrong places. They were looking for a monster, but I knew the killer was not a monster. He was a man, a smart man, a man who knew how to hide. I did not trust the police. I did not need them. I had my own way. I had 10 years of thinking, 10 years of planning. I started small. I used the internet. I learned how to find old records. I learned how to look at things the police miss. I learned how to be a shadow. The DNA they found was the key. It was a small piece of information, a number. I used illegal ways to find out what that number meant. I found people who could get me things. People I met in prison. They owed me favors. They were bad people, but they were useful. I spent months digging. I did not sleep much. I drank black coffee and looked at the screen. I was a detective, a hacker, a thief. I was everything I was not supposed to be. Then one night I found it, the name, the address, the man who matched the DNA. His name was Thomas. I looked at his picture. He was a normal man, a smiling man. He had a nice face, a kind face. He looked like a good neighbor. He looked like a man who would never hurt a fly. He looked like the man who stole my life. I took the picture and put it on the wall. I looked at it for a long time. I did not feel rage. I felt a cold, clear focus. This was the man. This was the target. I found his address. It was in a nice part of the city, a quiet street. I drove there in Mark's old car. I parked far away and walked. I saw the house. It was big and clean. A swing set in the yard. A basketball hoop. It was a home. I waited. I watched. Then I saw them. Thomas came out of the house. He was laughing. He was holding the hand of a woman, his wife. She was beautiful. She was smiling. They looked happy. And then the children, 2 of them, a boy and a girl. They ran out and hugged Thomas's legs. He picked them up. He kissed them. He was a father, a good father. I sat in the dark and watched this perfect picture. My heart turned to ice. This man, this happy, smiling man, he had a wife, he had children, he had a home, he had a life. He had everything I had lost. He had stolen my 10 years. He had made my son a stranger. He had made my wife leave me. And he was living without any consequences. He was free. He was happy. The pain was so great it was like a fire in my bones. It was not fair. It was not right. I knew then that finding him was not enough. The police would catch him. He would go to jail. He would lose his life, but he would still have his memories. He would still have the knowledge that he had lived a good life for 10 years. That was not enough. He had to lose everything, just like I did. He had to lose his wife. He had to lose his children. He had to lose his life. I made a promise to the ghost of the man I used to be. I would take it all. I would make him pay the full price. The price of 10 years of my life. I became a shadow. I rented a small room near Thomas's house. I bought a cheap pair of binoculars. I bought a notebook. I started to watch. Every day for 1 month, I watched. I learned his life better than he knew it himself. Thomas's schedule. 7:00 a.m. He leaves the house. He kisses his wife and kids goodbye. He drives a blue car to work. 8:00 a.m. The kids leave for school, the boy walks, the girl takes a bus. 8:15 a.m. 3:00 p.m. The wife is alone in the house. She is a stay-at-home mom. She cleans, she gardens, she is alone. 5:30 p.m. Thomas comes home from work. He is tired. He is happy to see his family. 10:00 p.m. Lights out. I wrote it all down, every small detail. The way he stopped at the same coffee shop every morning, the route he took home. There was a quiet road a back way that he used when the main road was busy. It was dark. It had no houses. It was perfect. I needed a way to get into the house. I could not just break in. That was messy. That was for amateurs. I was a professional now. I was a man with a plan. I thought about the police. The police had set me up with a lie. I would use the police to get my revenge. I bought a police uniform. Not a real one, but a good copy. I bought a fake badge. I practiced my voice. I practiced looking like a man who had the right to be there. I was good at acting. 10 years of pretending I was not broken had made me a great actor. I planned the kills. It had to be 2 separate acts. The first one, Thomas, it had to be quick and quiet. The second one, the wife, it had to be personal. It had to be a moment of terror, a moment where she knew why she was dying. I chose the night for Thomas, the quiet road. I would stop his car. I would make him get out. I would look him in the eye. I chose the day for the wife. When she was alone, when she felt safe, I would use the uniform. She would open the door. She would invite me in. I bought the tools, not a gun. A gun is loud. I needed quiet. I bought a heavy, short piece of metal. It was heavy enough to do the job fast. I bought plastic sheets. I bought rope. I bought cleaning supplies. I planned every step of the cleanup. I had to be clean. I had to be a ghost. I looked at the picture of Thomas on my wall. I looked at his smiling face. I felt nothing. No hate, no pity, just the cold, clear purpose. I was going to take his life. I was going to take his family. I was going to make him pay. The debt was due. The night I chose was a Tuesday. It was raining a little. The air was cold. It was a perfect night for a ghost to work. I drove Mark's old car to the quiet road. I parked it deep in the trees. I walked to the spot. It was a curve in the road. Thomas always slowed down there. I put on dark clothes. I put on gloves. I had the heavy metal piece in my hand. It felt good, heavy and real. I waited. The rain was soft on my face. I was calm. I was not nervous. I was ready. At 5:45 p.m. I saw his blue car lights. He was coming. My heart did not beat faster. It beat slow and strong. I stepped into the middle of the road. I held up a small, bright light. I looked like a man who had car trouble. Thomas slowed down. He stopped. He rolled down his window. "Hey man, you okay?" he asked. His voice was kind, the voice of a good man, the voice of a killer. I walked to his window. I looked him in the eye. He was tired from work. He was ready to go home to his perfect family. "Thomas," I said. My voice was low. He looked confused. "Do I know you?" I smiled, a cold, dead smile. "You do not know my name, but you know my life. You stole it." His eyes changed. The confusion went away. A small, cold fear came into them. He started to put his car in gear. "Wait," I said. "Look at me." I stepped back a little. I let the street light hit my face. I was older. I was harder, but he saw it. He saw the man he had put in prison 10 years ago. His face went white. "No," he whispered. "No, it cannot be." "It is me," I said. "I am home." He tried to open his door. He tried to run, but I was faster. I was 10 years of hate in one quick move. I hit him. I did not hit him with my fist. I hit him with the heavy metal piece. I hit him on the side of his head. The sound was a wet, heavy crack. He did not scream. He just fell back into the seat. His head hit the window. The window did not break, but his head did. I opened the car door. He was slumped over. Blood was already coming out of the wound, dark, thick blood. It ran down his face and onto his nice white shirt. He was still breathing. A small, wet sound. His eyes were open. They looked at me. They were full of fear and a small bit of understanding. "Why?" he tried to whisper. I leaned close to his ear. 10 years, I said. 10 years of my son's life. 10 years of my wife's love. You took it all. Now I take yours. I hit him again, harder this time. I did not want him to feel anything. I did not want him to think. I wanted him to be gone. The second hit stopped the breathing. It stopped the sound. It stopped the life. I looked at the body. Thomas, the man who stole my life. He was just a thing now. A heavy, broken thing in a nice blue car. The blood was everywhere, on the seat, on the floor, on my gloves. I felt nothing. No joy, no guilt. Just a cold, quiet peace. The first part of the debt was paid. I had to work fast. I pulled the plastic sheets out of my bag. I covered the driver's seat. I pulled Thomas out of the car. He was heavy. I dragged him to the trunk. I opened it. I put him inside. I covered him with more plastic. I did not want blood in the trunk. I knew what blood in a trunk could do. I cleaned the car. I wiped the door handle. I wiped the steering wheel. I used the cleaning supplies. I was careful. I was slow. I was perfect. I drove his car deep into the woods, a place I had found weeks ago, a place where no one went. I left the car there. I took the body out. I dug a deep hole. It took a long time. The rain helped. It washed the dirt. It washed the blood. I put Thomas in the hole. I covered him with dirt. I covered the dirt with leaves and branches. It looked like nothing. It looked like the woods. I also took his phone to text his wife that he wouldn't be home tonight based on the workload at work. I walked back to my car. I drove away. I was clean. The car was clean. The road was clean. The only thing that was not clean was my soul, but my soul had been dirty for 10 years. One more sin did not matter. I went back to my small room. I burned the clothes. I cleaned the metal piece. I looked at the picture of Thomas on the wall. I drew a big black X over his face. One down, one to go. The wife. The next day. The final act. The children would be orphans, just like my son was an orphan to me for 10 years. The debt had to be paid in full. The next day I was calm. I was tired but calm. I put on the police uniform. It felt strange. It felt powerful. I looked in the mirror. I looked like a man who had the right to ask questions, a man who had the right to be in a home. I drove to Thomas's house at 10:00 a.m. The kids were at school. The wife was alone. I walked up to the door. I knocked. A strong, official knock. The wife opened the door. She was a beautiful woman. She looked worried. "Yes," she asked. I held up the fake badge. "Ma'am, I am Officer Smith. I am sorry to bother you. We are looking for your husband, Thomas. He did not show up for work this morning. We need to ask you some questions." Her face went from worried to scared. "Thomas, he left at 7 yesterday. I thought he slept off at work yesternight because of workload. That was what he actually texted me. He always calls or texts. Is something wrong?" "We do not know yet, ma'am," I said. My voice was low and kind. "May I come in? This is not something we should talk about on the street." She looked at me. She saw the uniform. She saw the kind eyes. She saw the badge. She let me in. "Please," she said, "come in. What is going on?" I stepped inside. The house smelled like coffee and flowers. It was a warm, safe place. I was a wolf in the sheep's house. She led me to the living room. She sat on the sofa. She was shaking. I stood in front of her. I looked at her. I saw the woman who was happy with the man who stole my life. I saw the woman who was safe while my wife was crying. "Ma'am," I said. I took a deep breath. "I am not a police officer." She looked confused. "What?" I took off the hat. I took off the badge. I put them on the coffee table. "My name is John," I said. "I am the man your husband put in prison for 10 years. Her eyes went wide. The fear was real now. It was a scream that did not come out. She knew the name. Thomas must have told her the story. A bad joke. A bad memory. She tried to stand up. Get out, I will call the police. You cannot, I said. I am the police now. I moved fast. I did not use the metal piece. I used my hands. I put my hands around her neck. She thought she was strong. She scratched my face. She kicked. She made a small, wet sound. I held on. I did not let go. I looked into her eyes. They were blue. They were full of terror. I saw the moment the life went out of them. I saw the moment she became a thing. I let go. She fell to the floor. She hit the wood with a soft, heavy sound. She was dead. I stood over the body. The blood was not much, just a little scratch on my cheek, a small red mark on her neck. She looked peaceful, too peaceful. I did not feel bad. I felt a strange kind of calm. I had done it. I had taken his wife. I had made his children orphans. The debt was paid. I had to clean up. I went to the kitchen. I got a knife. I came back. I made it look like a robbery. I cut her clothes. I cut her skin. I made it look messy. I made it look like a monster did it, not a man with a plan. I took some small things, a watch, a ring, things that looked like they were stolen. I put them in my pocket. I wiped everything, the door handle, the sofa, the floor. I was a ghost. I left no trace. I walked out of the house. I put the hat back on. I walked to my car. No one saw me. The street was quiet. I drove away. I took off the uniform. I threw it in a dumpster far away. I was just a man in a car again. I am sitting here now, in my small, empty room. It has been 3 days. The news is on the TV. They are talking about the missing man, Thomas. They are talking about the dead woman, his wife. They are saying it was a robbery. They are saying the children are with their grandmother. The police are confused. They do not know what happened. They do not know that the man they set free is the man who did this. I look at the picture on the wall. Thomas with the big black X. I look at the picture of his wife. I drew a black X on her face, too. I have my revenge. I took his life. I took his family. I made his children orphans. I made him pay the full price. But am I happy? No. Am I whole? No. I am still broken. I am still angry, but the fire is out. The hate is gone. It is just cold ash now. I am a killer. I am the thing they said I was 10 years ago, but I was made this way. The system made me. Thomas made me. They took my life and I took his. It is a simple math. I have nothing left. No wife. No son who knows me. No home. Just this cold, quiet room. I am waiting. I do not know for what. Maybe for the police to find me. Maybe for death to find me. I am not afraid. I have been in hell for 10 years. This world is just a bigger prison. I have told you everything. This is my confession. The story of the man who was innocent and the man who became a killer. I did it. I took his life. I took her life. I did it for 10 years. I did it for my son. I did it for the ghost of the man I used to be. The debt is paid, and now I am free, truly free, and I have nothing.